Okay, we're back. Can we say hi?
Hi.
All right. So we got a request that the girls would be in all of our videos. So we're going to try and include you guys in some videos, right? In all of our
No,
classes.
all.
No, all. All right. So first, let's talk about what we did yesterday. Now, I watched a video and I asked my class to watch a video. I didn't make you guys watch the video, but it talked about some really cool things, and I forgot to. I've forgotten how good that video is. It really covers a lot of things that we need to know, and so we're going to go over some of those terms and over some of the kind of um, points that video made because it's a good one. And then we're going to go review our work. So yesterday, what did we do? What did we learn about yesterday? Who remembers?
We learned about the difference of letters.
Different letters, that's right. And like one of the words I said was fonts. We learned about different fonts. And so we had an activity to do. What did we do with the activity? Where did we go? We went on a field trip.
Went around and looked for different letters, and what we did was we looked for the first letter of our name.
Well, that's right. And Vivi, did we find very many?
No. Yeah?
No?
Yes. We found
Yes,
a lot.
we found lots. That's right. We found. Do you remember we found all the V's and all the M's? Right. Okay,
But
so
most of the V's were 11th Street.
there were a lot of V's and a lot of M's. So these are Maya and Vivian's. So Maya has done multiple M's here, right? And they're various kinds. Now these ones, most of the M's that we found, because they were on signs, they were pretty boring kind of M's, weren't they? Like this is kind of a very boring M, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? And that is, again, it's pretty boring. That one's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then that one is kind of boring. That one's kind of neat, isn't it?
Yeah, that one's good.
That one's kind of neat because it's colorful. Look, it has those decorations.
And it has the feet.
And it has the feet, right?
That and it's super colorful.
That one doesn't have any feet, does it?
No.
Okay. Do you remember what it's called when they have the feet? What's that word I told you to remember? Seraph. Very good. Good try. Seraph. Okay. Now that one doesn't have a seraph. Doesn't have the feet, does it?
No.
Okay. So the two types we learned were seraph and sans serif. And in the video, we learned that there are serif fonts and sans serif fonts. And then there were some other kinds that we learned, including display fonts or decorative fonts. There's also script font. And if you remember your letters on your shirt yesterday, they looked like someone wrote them, right? Right? And we saw some cursive, didn't we? Okay, so that's a script font. Now, script fonts, there is a wide variety of script. There's also like things like graffiti. So let me show you this. Vivian found this was pretty cool. We found this, which was graffiti. That was a V. You found that. Maya found it. Okay, so that was pretty cool because that's a script font as well. Even though that's been hand drawn, that's a script font, right? Somebody drew that or somebody wrote that, right? Vice. Yeah.
Okay. What does it say?
That says Vice. We also found this one. This one was kind of a crazy V, right? That was kind of neat. I think the best one, I think maybe my favorite V was this one, because that was pretty neat, wasn't it? Yeah,
VW.
VW, that's pretty cool. And it was on a pretty cool van, too. Okay, so that was kind of neat, and we did that. And then one other thing I want to mention is one of my students did this, and I thought this was pretty cool. She organized hers by the different types. So these were serif fonts that she found, and then she found sans serif fonts, and these are those, right? And then she found some display fonts, which were like kind of more cool. Now this one, I might say that this one here, that kind of looks like it's handwritten. So that would actually be a script font. But that said, so even this one here, this is kind of a script font as well. Now, there are sometimes they're not one or the other.
It's just a guess.
Yeah, that's right. I think she did a really good job. But sometimes it's weird because they're funny. Like if I look at, see, we have this is a serif font. We learned about these are serifs, and then this is that's another serif. And then if we go like sans serif, which is the ones that don't have the feet, we usually get a pretty boring example of sans. These are pretty boring. Hey, look, that says Noah. Okay, so there's like some sans serifs. But there are also very beautiful sans serifs, which are either modern or like really nicely designed. So don't think that one is beautiful and one is not. Even though we said yesterday they were kind of boring, some of them can be really nicely designed, right? Okay, so it's not, and we'll be using a lot of these as well. Like that's a really nice one right there. Anyways, okay, so there's that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that sometimes there are fonts that are kind of in between. So like this one here is called a semi-serif. Okay, it's Rotis, and it's one of my favorites. It's got some of these letters have serifs. See, look at that E there. it has the foot there, right? But look, it doesn't have it at the bottom of the F, right? It doesn't have it at the bottom of the H. So it kind of does a little bit of those feet, doesn't it? Okay, so
Because let me see something with feet. I want
well, look there, that's one, doesn't it? That R has a foot, right?
the A.
But the S doesn't. Look, the S doesn't have any.
The
The
A.
A, yeah, the A has one, right? But it doesn't have it on the bottom. So they're kind of
That's
like
what I'm looking for.
different, right? And then there's some fonts that are going to be. So let's just take a quick look here. There was a good example. I can't remember who did it, but someone put up a font that could be a display, or it could be a script, or it could be a sans serif. Like sometimes they cross over into different categories. So it's just something to be aware of. Sometimes they will be strictly, like this is strictly a serif font, but then there's also categories. So there's something called let me show you this one. This is called a slab serif. And a slab serif, okay, so see this here? See how this has see that? Look at that serif here. Okay, see that? It's really square, right?
Yeah.
See how it goes like, right? Okay, so sometimes they're like that. And that's called a slab serif because it looks like it's on a slab of concrete or something.
Looks like it's a bubble letter, but it's not really.
Well, look at this one. Look how square. That's so squarey there, isn't it? Right? Compared to these ones, if we just go to like the regular serifs, look at these. It's like a thick to thin transition is the difference. So see how here it's like kind of smooth? See how it kind of smooths there? This part here. See how it's like kind of curves?
Yeah.
Right? Well, the other one didn't do that, did it? It just went right?
Yeah.
It was really straight. Okay. So that's a serif. The other one was a slab serif, and that's a different kind of. See how that one goes? Look there. See how straight that is?
Yeah.
There's no thick to thin transition. Okay. So that's just, there's a lot of different kinds. All right. So we learned a few things in that tutorial. We learned that there's kerning, and kerning is like how much space is between letters. Watch the video if you don't remember this. But kerning, we learned about leading, which is line spacing. We learned about tracking, which is like how much space there is in the whole letter, between the letters. There's a lot of things we learned, okay? And I want you to rewatch that video if you're not sure, because it's important. There will be some quizzes on that stuff, but we'll come back to that after. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about is what you're going to be doing next. So here, I want you to take a look at this. I want you guys to see if Maya and Vivian can do this. This might be hard for you guys because it's kind of big words. You can try it. It's just big words. Actually, you know what I'll do? I'll do it here. Let's start with this. See this here? There's two cat and dog, and then there's two boxes, and one of the boxes has cat behind it, and one has dog behind it. But I'm not going to tell you which one.
Okay.
Which one do you think has cat behind it?
That one.
This one? You think it's this one, Maya?
Yeah.
And you think it's that one, Vivi?
I mean that.
You just have to guess, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see which one it is. Well, neither of them. I forgot to put them there. Okay, but you couldn't tell, could you? You can't really tell, can you?
Yeah.
Watch this. Look at this one. Now this one is, again, there's going to be one has dog. And
dog is that.
Yeah.
And cat is that one.
How do you know?
Because there's the D.
Yeah.
Has a big line up there, so that, and there's a G there, and then there's
That's
a T
right,
right
Maya.
here.
Look. That's cat, and that's dog. And how did you know? Well, because these shapes are covering the bottom of the G, and this one's covering the top of the D, right? And so cat couldn't hide behind that, could it?
No.
No. But it can hide behind that, can't it?
Yeah.
Okay, we call that word shape. Look at this. Good job, guys. You did a great job of that. Okay, so that's called word shape. Now, what happens if it was uppercase? Remember the first time we did that when we looked here? Look at, we went to this one. Can you tell which shape is which?
No.
Not really, right? Because you have to guess. Whereas here you figured it out, didn't you? Okay, so here's what I want to show my class. Let's see if my class can figure this out. This is kind of neat. So I want you guys to read this. Now this is a little bit advanced for my guys, okay, because my guys are kind of little. You're 5 and 7. But my students at home who are following along should be able to read this.
You mean school?
Yeah, my school students, right? Okay, so they should be able to read this. Okay, and what they're going to find is that it's kind of interesting because even though these words are all scrambled, they should be able to read what it says there. And so it says, according to research at Cambridge University, it doesn't matter in what order the letters in a word are. The only important thing is that, and it goes on, and my students probably just read that, and so they probably went, hey, I can read that. And so this is a kind of a neat thing. Now, it's not totally right, but it's an interesting thing. They're saying that it doesn't matter what order the letters are, as long as they're the right kind of shape. And that's because we learn to read word shapes. So when Maya and Vivian, when you learn to read, how did you learn to read the word cat? You learned it like this, cat, right? Cat, right? And then you went cat, right? Well, my big students don't do that anymore. They don't go cat, they just read
But
the
that
word
was only
cat.
when I was little. I
When
know
you were
how to
little.
do it now.
Now you're bigger and you know how to do it. But when you learn,
Vivian still does it.
she's still learning, right? But when you're bigger, you don't read like that. You just read the whole word. And that's because we learn word shapes and we learn to read word shapes. So we don't actually sound that out anymore. We read the whole word. Even if it's a big word like this, my students would be able to read that word without sounding it out because they know all of the sounds and they can remember all of the letters. Okay? That word says university.
Oh, I thought it was university.
Very good guess. Okay, university. And so my students could read a word like that. Now the word shape for that is a little different, isn't it? Right? This would be something like, it would go like this, and then there's like a little drop there. And these eyes, they make like a shape too, don't they?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a different shape than like dog or cat, wouldn't it be? Okay, so we learned to read word shapes, guys. That's the point we're getting at. And so what you'll see here is it's saying that you can read a word like according here, even if the letters are out of order. Now, that's not totally right because watch this. You can read it. This is what they said. They said that you could read, oops, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it here. Okay, so they're saying that you can read according. Now, the reason you can read according is because the word shape is similar. This is going to be boring for you guys, but and maybe even boring for my students, but they'll survive. Okay, so the word shape of that is pretty close, right? It's kind of got a high point there, and then there's like a high point where the D is. That's almost the same, and then there's a low point there, right?
This is
So
funner than a play center.
Right. All right, but watch. If I did this, if I took those, oops, if I took those letters and put them like here, and I took that and put it.
But you just made it say adding.
I kind of did, didn't I? Now, if I had to make you read that, you would never figure it out.
Adding core?
Adding core. That's a funny word, isn't it? Yeah. So you would not be able to read that. You wouldn't be able to figure out that that's according because the word shape is too different. Okay? All right, so that's for my students to understand that there is something called word shape and we read word shape. Now, the reason that matters is because we're trying to read quickly. If our words are too crunched together, and we learn the word tracking and lighting, if our words are tracked really close, then we can't figure out that word as easily. If our line spacing is too narrow, then the word space from the G and the word space from the line below D, that would start to interfere, and then you can't make out those word word shapes anymore, making it harder to read. This would be very hard to read if it were like this, because you wouldn't be able to figure out, right, if that was how this was, the leading was, you would not be able to read that as quickly. You'd be able to read it still, but it would take you longer. Okay? All right. According. Okay.
I saw adding, so I was like,
yeah, good job. You guys are pretty clever. Okay, so that said, I'm going to give you guys the next part of your assignment, but I'm going to let my guys go. So I'm going to pause my recording here. Guys, can you say bye?
Bye.
See you guys.